Richards trying to scoot in there alone. It pinballs to the crease.
Let's get it.
Oh my God! Here we go.
You're listening to the Pod Street Bullies Podcast with your hosts, Derek.
How you gonna get it, Bobby?
John. Matt Casey.
Unnecessary, but totally necessary.
And Hoagie.
What's not to love?
What's happening, everybody? Welcome to a new episode of the Pod Street Bullies. I'm not Derek. I'm John. Our good friend Derek and his wife Tasha. Can we say they both gave birth? No, we don't want to get anybody mad at it. So Tasha gave birth to their
They had a child.
newest child. So welcome to the Pod Street Bully family, little Ruby. But Derek's going to be out for the foreseeable future. Matt Casey's, I don't know, taking edibles with
hanging out with some Flyers players,
safari animals or something. So my worst nightmare, ladies and gentlemen, Hoagie.
What's going on, John? Did you miss me?
No. But how you been, buddy?
Good. Had vacation a couple weeks ago. I'm recharged and ready to go.
Hockey season is officially back.
Yep.
Right, we got one game already.
One game going right now. We got Tampa Bay versus Nashville. It's 4-3 Tampa.
5:30 start on a Tuesday.
They're just amping up for Bedard's. What have you?
I hope he's
Crosby.
like a -6. But then I hope Crosby's like a -9.5.
Right? And then Bedard could just go off and have 4 goals.
Right.
Like Matthews did in his
Right. No, yeah, that's a good idea. He could go for 4 and then not score again till like December.
That'd be great.
Right. But anyway, I mean, we're obviously here to talk about the Flyers. The Flyers kick off their season on Thursday against the Columbus Blue Jackets at, I believe, 7:00. Obviously, the Ivan Provorov game. Let's get it right out of the way early. But what we really want to talk about is we have our final roster, our opening night roster. We kind of want to dive into, talk about some surprises, just anything that kind of comes up with these different announcements. But I do think we need to keep in mind, Hoagie, right, that just because this is the opening night roster, it might not actually look like this on opening night.
Right. And it's not going to look like this throughout the whole season either.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think the one thing that we should just get out of the way right away is Rasmus Ristolainen, right? If you look at the opening night roster, he's on injured reserve.
Yep.
But there does look like there's a chance he might play.
Yeah, that's what it was looking like. He's been practicing the past couple of days. So I guess his injury is backdated so that if need be, they can suit him up for Thursday night's game, but I don't know how it all works.
There's this whole movement of money thing that just makes no sense to me. It's like they do paper moves just so somebody could then actually play, which doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
Right. Is that the Bob's music?
My God.
Ruby.
Say hi, everybody.
Ruby has joined us.
Say hi. We got the hiccups.
Okay, Derek, just so you know, we're actually recording now.
Oh, awesome. What's up, guys?
Congratulations, bud.
Glad I could join. The whole plan here was for me to come on before, obviously, and that has not happened. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put her back down in her seat over here, and I'll get the headphones in, and I'll pick up wherever you guys are at.
All right.
You're joining us. Look at that. I like it.
All right,
What a surprise. All right, let's see here. Well, while Derek gets started, doing whatever he gets started. I don't know, while he puts the baby down. I think we should still get right into things. So as of right now, we'll start with the forwards. As of right now, the forwards on the opening night roster are Cam Atkinson, Bobby Brink, Noah Cates, Sean Couturier, Nick Delorier, Joel Farabee, Tyson Forster, Morgan Frost, Garnet Hathaway, Travis Konechny, Scott Lawton, Ryan Paling, and Owen Tippett. Hoagie, I guess, biggest surprise to you?
I mean, there's two.
Okay.
There's a volleyball right there. I mean, you have Brink and you have Forster on this opening night roster. Everybody thought that it was one of their spots to lose. I'm surprised both of them made it, but I'm happy both of them made it because I think they bring different aspects to the game for this team. Forster has a hell of a shot, and then you have Bobby Brink, who is like a playmaker, and he does all the small things right. So I'm kind of excited to see where they fit into this lineup come opening night.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I'm not surprised that like one of them made it. I mean, to me, Tyson Forster wasn't a surprise. I am surprised both of them made it.
Yeah.
I really didn't think it was going to be either or.
Yep.
Sweetheart, you have to go back upstairs. Okay, I'm recording the show right now. This is Pod Street Parenthood. No, baby, I'm actually recording the show. So you have to go up to bed. Okay, I'll come check on you when I'm done. I love you. Good night. Yeah, don't give me that look, you pain in the ass. Anyway.
So I had to count at the beginning of the episode. We had Derek with the baby, and now we had John with
You're up next, Hoagie.
The cat already joined in. It's fine.
All right.
So yeah, what we were just getting into, Derek, is we were talking about the forwards that made the opening night roster. We were just starting off with surprises, and obviously I think the both of us agreed was that Bobby Brink and Tyson Forster together on the roster was a bit of a surprise.
Together, sure. Yes. Now, separately, I do want to point out a few weeks back.
This is the only reason you came on here, right?
I had no idea what you guys were going to talk about tonight. However,
I'll be back.
All right. Well, I'd rather you be here so you'd eat your crow, but regardless, that's fine. No, and all jokes aside, I had mentioned it as kind of like a passing comment. Like I didn't expect Brink to take a spot, but I'm sure glad he has it. Now, whether it's as a 13th forward for the time being, where he's actually on the opening night roster, like I'll be ecstatic no matter what. I think he had a great training camp. I think that, he played really well, kind of really curried some favor when it came to Tortorella. And I mean, hey man, he's got his shot now. Let's roll with it. Let's see what happens. And awesome. I'm happy for the kid above all else.
Right. I think we're all along, the same route there. Like they both made it. We're happy. We're excited. Where do they fit? Will they fit throughout the season? Who knows? But I'm just excited for both of them because they bring, like I said earlier, they just bring different aspects to this game and this roster. So.
Right. And my comments were more pointed towards the one guy who's not here, Matt Casey.
Yeah,
because he was like, there's no chance. There's no chance. And he might not have said there's no chance, but it sounded that way to me. But yeah, like I'm happy. I'm not going to sit here and be like, yeah, I called this. I didn't think he was going to make the opening night roster. I'll be honest.
John, you're still muted.
Yeah, John, come on, man.
Dude, batting 1,000 tonight. I think the interesting thing is like, you're seeing a commitment to youth right from the forward group. What I'm curious is what these lines end up looking like.
Yeah, that
right.
I started trying to jot them down to get my own idea, and it was all over the place. I forgot Konechny. Like I don't know who fits where.
Right. I mean, I think if you go down the middle, you're probably. I mean, it's obviously going to be Couturier, and then do you assume that Frost is your second line center?
I was thinking Cates is second line center.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm with you. I like Cates. I like them both. I think Cates has earned it over Frost, but
I just think it's almost like there's just too much similarity between Couturier and Cates.
Yeah,
for that to be like your 1-2 punch.
Right.
Yeah.
But then
might be a great punch come the playoffs in like 2 years.
Sure.
or 4 or 5 or 6.
Right.
One can only hope Sean Couturier's back is still with him.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think, okay, so in some order, your centers are pretty clear cut, though. I mean, it's Couturier, it's Frost, it's Cates, and it's Paling.
Right.
Right.
Didn't they say as much that the fourth line too is set in stone, like it is what it is right now? Hathaway, Paling,
I
and
think that's just like
Delorier.
a big, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what else are you going to do with those guys? You know, I think that the
Right.
one wrench would have been Wade Allison, which I think is something that we do have to talk about because if you
100%.
listened to the list, Wade Allison is missing. Derek, I guess just
No, he's
because
not hurt.
because
What?
who knows how long you're going to be on this show. What are your thoughts about this, about Wade Allison being sent down?
I mean, I've got some big thoughts in the grand scheme of things here, but solely in a vacuum, him being sent down, like, I'm happy for him. I think that this is an opportunity to prove that, you know, hey, I can stay healthy. I can play a full slate of games. I think if he can grab that opportunity by the balls, great. And maybe he earns himself another contract with the Flyers. Aside from that, I just like, I don't know. There's a lot to get into with that. I'm not going to go in depth right now. Obviously, I want to get everybody else's thoughts too, but I'm happy for him because I think it's a good opportunity.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a lot to say, but Hoagie, go ahead.
Honestly, I was hoping someone would claim him on waivers. I just felt like this story of Wade Allison, like we can close the book on it because I said it 3 weeks ago when we were doing like who has the most to lose, and I said Wade Allison at the end because it's either do or die at this point. Like either you're in the NHL and you're consistently on the roster every night, or you're in the AHL. Like I'm kind of just tired of it. And I know I felt the same way about Morgan Frost a couple years ago, but now he's proved it. He's proved that he earned the contract and he's here to stay. I just don't think there's any room for Wade Allison's style of play in this roster.
Right. I mean, the ceiling is higher with a guy like Frost.
Right.
So you're willing to wait on that potential a little bit more. I think, you know, Wade Allison, maxes out at potentially a third line winger, you know, and I think that that's a stretch at this point.
Yeah.
I really look at this as similar to you, Hoagie, where it's like your opportunity to be a consistent mainstay on this roster moving forward is over. I look at it where it's like if there's an injury and they feel like one of the younger guys isn't ready, then he could be a call up. But I just think that by him not making the opening night roster, he has dropped down multiple rungs. Like I think that they'll look at guys like Elliot Denoyer before they look at him, Ollie Lixell before they look at him.
Tuamala too.
Tuamala, right.
He had a great training camp.
Right, where it's now you've moved on to this next crop where unless, you know, he really, like, let's say he scores 20 goals in 10 games and all of a sudden you're like, all right, maybe I got to change my mind. But I just think as opposed for like a quick injury call up, I'm just not sold that there's any opportunity for him again on this roster.
Yeah. I can't see it.
Good point. Yeah, the bigger thing that I kind of wanted to get into, and I'm not sure if it ties into how you're thinking, John, but like just the thought of waivers with this team in general. Like I mentioned it briefly in the high and wide chat on Twitter. Like I don't want to blow this out of proportion, but like I'm getting so sick and tired of the arguments about, whoa, he might not clear waivers. He might not clear waivers. Like the Sandstrom thing is a big thing to me, and Allison for that matter too. Those two guys are on one of the worst teams in hockey. I think it's safe to say. And they're getting sent down because they're not good enough to play on that team. I get injuries happen. I get people need goalies, especially. So Sandstrom's case might be a bit more.
Don't blow it too early with the Sandstrom talk. We had planned this show with you not being here. We're going to talk about goalies in a little while.
Right. Well, I like to be like Wade Allison and be the wrench in the plans.
But he's not even a wrench right now.
Yeah, who are we referring to as a wrench? Whatever it was. Again,
Bobby
I'm running
Brink
on.
is the wrench.
There you go. Derek Bobby Brink. But no, Wade Allison specifically, I think that we overvalued his his value. We overvalued him because you're looking at an oft injured person who has not been able to stay healthy. And honestly, I just don't think that, a team is going to look at that and say, yeah, I'll take that risk. Like, it's just not worth it at that point.
Yeah. I mean, and look at how many players go on waivers at this time, and one of them was claimed.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean,
It's
it was
like maybe one a day.
right. But especially this time of year.
Right.
Baby, your babies.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys.
Is that
I'm
you,
not the
Bobby?
mama. I'm not the mama. I can't just whip out the teat and, make her happy.
Oh boy.
But really quick, before we move on from I want to take a crack at these lines, because to me, right, you feel what Couturier, Konechny, and
so do you want to hear what the lines were at practice today?
sure.
Jordan Hall tweeted it. First line, Farabee, Couturier, Brink.
Okay.
Second line, Tippett, Frost, Atkinson. Third
Okay.
line, Lawton, Cates, Konechny.
Okay.
Delorier, Paling, Hathaway. Forster was the extra man.
I mean, I don't hate him. I don't see how. I don't think you can put Konechny on the third line.
Listen, I think they're just throwing. I think they're just trying to spread the wealth throughout the lineup.
Sure.
Like, I
Right,
agree,
well-
Konechny shouldn't be on the third line, but I don't know. I think this season there's going to be a lot of yo-yos being pulled here.
Right. I mean, and if you think about it too, it's like you have to think about the younger players that you're deciding to keep up, and you need to kind of make sure that you protect them.
Right.
And I don't know if Lawton and Cates with like a Bobby Brink is a good idea.
That's a very defensively minded third line, which I don't
Right.
mind, but like.
Right. Well, you've got a playmaker in Bobby Brink not able to make plays to anybody, essentially.
Right.
Where it's like,
at least with Konechny, he's kind of like the do-it-all if that line does turn out to be the case.
Right. Yeah. I mean, but like you said, and I totally agree with you, it's just it's gonna be like one of those bingo roller things. It's
Right.
just Tortorella's gonna be sitting in there and kind of just like, well, tonight we're doing this.
Yeah. I mean that's how last year was. Like there was no real solid concrete lineup every night. So like, and who knows? I wonder who's going to be the first person to piss off Tortorella this year and be sad during the game.
Morgan Frost. He's the one.
Toilet seat up or down?
Down. I don't know. But that's just who I'm guessing.
It's going to be Cam Atkinson.
Oh, boy.
Ooh.
Spicy.
I don't know. I can see it.
Right? Because he knows him, and he's just like, God, this guy. I don't care about. I don't want to hear about his injuries.
Hasn't played in the year.
Right. Like, come on, Cam, get it together. Like, coach, I'm doing the best I can.
So if we shift to the defenseman, and again, we have to keep in mind that if Ristolainen is ready to go, there's most likely one of these guys is going to be sent down. Right? I mean, that's how that would have to work. I don't know, math.
Something like that.
Yeah. Okay. So as of right now, Emil Andre, Travis Sanheim, Nick Sealer, Mark Stahl, Sean Walker, Cam York, and Igor Zamula are the defensemen on the opening night roster. Derek, I mean, I feel like this is an easy answer, but the biggest surprise.
I mean, you tell me, Christ. I'll be completely honest and say that I haven't been following this incredibly closely. However, I am surprised that they're carrying 8 defensemen. Like, I didn't anticipate that, and I'm kind of like, why would they do that? But like, at the end of the day, am I wrong here?
They're not technically carrying 8. They have 7 defensemen with Risto on IR.
Okay, I had seen somewhere that they were carrying 8. Maybe that's my mistake.
Yep, it is.
Yeah, like I said, I haven't been following this too closely, but I am kind of surprised by Zamula. Like, I don't know. Like, we've all kind of said it on previous shows. Like, I feel like the guy's time's up, man. Like, he hasn't done anything to this point. maybe one more go around proves somebody wrong and it earns him something. Like, I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
but yeah, I don't know. With Risto out, that's a big shot. That sucks. Like, I hope that he'll be back soon. But I don't see Zamula doing a fantastic job plugging that hole while he's out.
Right. I mean, Hoagie, to me, Zamula makes the most sense to start because, again, he's the one that has to clear waivers. I mean, the surprise for me is Andre.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I'm excited for Andre. I think it's a great opportunity, but he was not on the radar for me to make this roster. I know we talked about it during the summer. Like, does he have to make the roster or can he play in the AHL? Like, what we don't know those conditions.
And now it doesn't matter.
And now, yeah, right. It doesn't matter. But like, I hope he's here and I hope he transitions well to the North American style of play, because you saw it a little bit during the preseason where, the rink's a little wider and stuff compared to where he played. And he wasn't used to pinching at the boards or making those passes because he doesn't know how much room he has. So I hope he transitions well. I could see him in the starting lineup on Thursday.
Yeah, I mean, the interesting thing here is it's like, who do you pair these guys with?
Oh, dude.
You've got potentially 3 young defensemen on the opening night blue line, and then it's like, well, hopefully Ristolainen's healthy, but if not, you got Sanheim, Mark Stahl, Sean Walker, like Nick Sealer. These
Sealer got to be a pairing.
Yeah, I don't know, but I guess my thought process though is it's like, if you're going to, obviously you're going to play York. If you're going to have Andre up, you're going to play Andre.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, they're going to start the year off with Zamula too, because again, this is where they want to see what they have in him.
Yep.
Unless he becomes someone that they flop with, like a Sealer or a Walker every once in a while. But like, I guess in my head, I'm almost going like, you have York on the first pair with somebody, Andre on the second pair with somebody, and then Zamula on the third pair with somebody, and it's all yucky.
Right. Well, I mean, it's just been a big question mark all summer.
Right.
Who are we gonna play on D? Like, how are we gonna pair these guys up?
I could see
them
putting. I could see him putting York and Sanheim together for the time being. That's what I would hope, at least, because like presumably Sanheim's your number 1. York's going to be. I know. I shudder when I say that too. But I think that should be your top pair until Ristolainen's back, and then at that point you're sliding York back down to the second pairing where I think he belongs again for the time being. But like, making do with what you've got. I'm curious to see if they want to take that approach, like the veteran young guy approach with Stahl and Andre on the second pairing, just to get Andre some larger minutes, I guess you could say. Kind of the same premise as, fourth line versus third line. And then you've got Walker and you've got Sealer at the bottom pair. Like, I'd be not comfortable, but like, that's kind of ideal given the circumstances at this point.
Right. Yeah,
So,
I mean,
pairings at practice today: York and Sanheim, Stahl and Walker, Sealer and Zamula, and Andre and Risto were extras.
Interesting. Okay.
I just think that if Emil Andre is not playing regularly, it makes 0 sense for him to be with the Flyers.
Right.
I agree. 100%.
Where it's just like, if that's the case, put him down in Lehigh Valley. Like, Zamula's a different bag of beans at this point, but you don't have to rush things with Andre if you feel like he's not a regular right now, then he shouldn't be on the roster.
But you also have a veteran in Mark Stahl that has openly admitted that he knows he's on to sit some of these games this season.
Right.
But of all the veterans, though.
But if a kid is beating him out, he understands that he's the odd man out.
I'll be honest, I don't really care if he understands that or not. Like, this isn't a Keith Yandel situation where you got to keep him in the lineup. Like, even if he didn't understand it, there comes a time where Tortorella's like, Stahl, your game sucks right now. This kid's better than you. He's going in the lineup. That's the end all be all.
Yeah.
I just think he has a leg up on Walker and Sealer.
I think he does too.
You know, I mean, I'm also not familiar with Sean Walker's game at all.
Sure.
No
I
idea.
mean, I've been calling him Matt Walker.
Dude, some of the pictures that they were taking at like practices and stuff, I'm like, who the hell are half these guys? I just don't know their faces. Like,
Oh, I know. It's kind of exciting though.
it is.
Yeah. You know, I mean, all I'm hoping of Walker is that we play him enough to get some sort of trade value going.
Sure.
You know,
Why not, right?
But I mean, I think we all expected the defenseman situation to be a bit of a mess. Where there's intrigue with the forwards, I'm like intrigued by the defenseman, the young defenseman, but I'm also just worried that we're putting them in an awful situation. You know?
Yeah. You gotta expect it.
No, I know, but like to me, you think back to the Provorov and Gostisbehere years where it was just like we never could put together a, decent enough unit.
Right.
Where it was like we expected so much of these guys that just couldn't deliver regularly or up to what we needed them to be.
Right. Think about how they were thrust into the spotlight too. I mean, Provorov from the get-go was just anointed as our number one guy. So all that pressure put squarely on his shoulders. Like, you're expected to carry the team at what, 20 years old? Like, that's a lot of pressure, man. A lot of pressure for a 20-year-old.
Right. So, I mean, unless you guys have anything else to say about the defenseman, I think that we're good.
Yeah,
We're good.
I mean, it's been the biggest topic of the offseason, so
Right.
gotta beat it.
This is going to be a pretty quick one. I mean, the Flyers right now are carrying 3 goalies, and Derek kind of alluded to this where they're worried about putting one on waivers right now. But we've got, obviously, Carter Hart will be the starter. Sam Ersson is the backup, I mean, as Tortorella announced. And then when you still have Felix Sandstrom. Hoagie, there are no surprises really here, except for maybe that Sandstrom wasn't sent down.
Right.
What are your thoughts, I guess, just on the fact that the Flyers are carrying 3 goalies?
I think it's dumb. just drop Sandstrom, man. Like, who cares if someone claims him?
Right.
I saw enough of his play last year where it was just like, and even last year they were afraid to put him on waivers.
Right.
Around Christmas time, right? Like, they were just deathly afraid to put him on waivers because they thought someone would take him. Like, who cares? We have a stockpile of goalies right now. Like, I think we're okay.
I personally think he'd clear.
Right.
I do wonder if there's a little bit of strategy where it's like, let's hold him up here, wait to see if anybody claims any of the other goalies, kind of gets their goalie, and then we'll put him out there.
Well,
but
I mean,
I don't
already happened too.
Right.
Martin Jones.
Yeah.
Right. I just don't see the appeal. Like,
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
He's
100%.
not going to play for the Flyers with Harder Cart. And Emil Surson sharing the crease. So, I don't know. I mean, I still think he'll wind up in Lehigh Valley by the end of the week somehow.
100%. I get so worked up with this specifically because I really I can't fathom that there's a team out there that would look at Sandstrom and say that's a quality backup for our team, because you're probably looking at an upper half of the league type team looking to claim somebody like this. Tampa Bay was the big name because they just had the injury with Vasilevsky.
Sure.
Like, Tampa Bay's not going to claim Sandstrom. Like,
he just fits into the rest of their question marks.
Right. So the fear of him getting claimed is completely unwarranted to me. Like, I just feel like that's just asinine. Like, it was the same thing last year. Like, I was a bit scared, sure, but at the same rate, I'm like, does he fit into the future plans of this team? No. So if he goes unclaimed, like, oh man, that sucks. Like, obviously it's ideal to get something for him in a trade. However, what's it going to hurt when you got?
And what's the value of him right now?
Exactly. And with the fact that we just drafted 2 goalies that high in the draft this past year, and we've got a decent amount of goalies in the system, like, I'm not gonna shed a tear over the guy departing the team, whether it's through waivers or free agency. I don't care.
And also, and I don't know if you two share this same idea, but if Carter Hart or when Carter Hart gets nicked up and Urson needs to take over, or if Urson gets nicked up and we need to call up someone else, I'm calling up Cal Peterson because we need to see if there's something in this guy, right? We have him for what, 2 more seasons, 1 more season after this at like $5 million.
I think one more season, yeah.
Right.
This season and next at 3.85.
And you're not just going to bury the contract, the entire time. Like, you're going to give him an opportunity if it presents himself. So to me, Sandstrom was always like the 4th option.
Right.
Yeah.
So whatever, just put him on waivers. Ristolainen could play goal if they need him to.
So
right.
If Rista is cleared to play, do you think Sandstrom is the move that they make to?
Yeah,
Risto back.
But I'm still really puzzled because I swear to God, I thought you only had either a 13th forward or a 7th defenseman. Did the rosters like get bigger, or have I just been doing this wrong in my head?
I honestly don't know. According to Cap Friendly, we are capped out at 23 of 23 roster spots.
Right. So then presumably they would just need to send down Sandstrom and you could have a defenseman and a forward.
Right.
Yeah.
Scratched.
Yeah. One for each position. I think that's more ideal than having a third goalie. I mean, there's a reason there's a backup,
And did we mention who we think the 13th forward would be? Because it is kind of interesting, right? If you think about it, because Paling, if the 4th line is Paling, Hathaway, and Delorier, who's the 13th forward? Like, to me, these other guys have to play.
It's got to be one of the young guys.
Which again,
I know. I think it's Brink or Forster, but like, you don't want them sitting. Maybe they just keep flip flopping them.
Right.
I think it'll be Brink over Forrester. That's the 13th guy.
Yeah. Again, I just don't see why you would keep them up. That doesn't seem like I almost wonder if it's like they're having you think one thing, but then at the end of the day, like the 4th line is actually going to alternate between Delorier and Hathaway,
right?
With like Lawton on the 4th line too.
Maybe.
Which I don't love either, but what are you going to do?
Right. With the way this team's made up, what are you going to do?
You know what? What if Torts is just like coaching this like the NBA, where it's like, oh, what if I want this guy for this game or this guy for this game?
Right.
And it kind of plays management. It like that. Yeah.
Load management. Keep that out of the NHL.
But what if they are doing that, like with this type of lineup where we just have everything all over the place?
And I guess that makes life incredibly difficult for the bean counters. Like, because I mean, and I know you guys are like, who gives a shit? Like, whatever. But like, if you're doing transactions like this every single day for every single game, someone's coming down from the office, pushing his glasses back up into his face, saying like, guys, my life is so difficult right now. Are you kidding me?
Well, just by scratching a player, though, it wouldn't change.
Scratching, sure. But like, if you're going to say like, okay, we could really use a Denoyer for this game against the Islanders. I don't think that's
what he was meaning.
No, that's not what I'm referring to. I'm talking about just the 13 forwards that we have right here.
Okay. I see what you mean now.
Right, depending on who
they're playing that night.
And please remove the last minute rant of mine. And
never edited anything.
Right.
I remember wanting to, but I'm like, no.
That's too much work.
Way too much work.
What I'm thinking is like if they have like a pretty comparable team, such as like the Blue Jackets or the Coyotes, what have you, maybe they put in the young kids to get that experience and get them the go ahead to show what they can do against these slower teams.
Right.
And then see it with bigger guys.
Right.
Like you see it when there's a more physical team that you're coming up against, you bring up, sometimes you even bring guys up. Like you play your bigger guys, counter, physicality with physicality.
Right.
Yeah. Now I want to get into the questions, but I kind of want to present a question before we dive into the Twitter questions. Mm-hmm. And it was something that Jeff Merrick brought up on 32 Thoughts with Elliot Friedman. And he asked Elliot, he said, are the Flyers too good to be really bad? Is there a scenario where they're better than they should be based off of this roster, who's coaching it?
Yes.
100% yes.
I mean, it's a pretty bleak roster.
It is.
But compare the two seasons. We just got two top 6 players back in the lineup that didn't play last year.
But we're not
Couturier-
sure what version.
I understand we don't know what version, but just having those 2 players, I think, puts us a step further than what we were last year. I know we're
Right.
still a young team, but I don't think we'll regress from last year.
Does it change though when you look the rest of the Eastern Conference and realize that like they are all, I mean, there's the Eastern Conference is stacked.
Well, just the Mid-Atlantic, honestly.
Right.
Or the Metropolitan. I'm
The
sorry.
Metropolitan.
Excuse
Yeah.
me,
I
I'm
mean,
thinking- I was thinking work.
the Islanders are probably the only team that I would be like, we might have a better record than them because I never trust the Islanders.
Right.
But then in the Atlantic, it's like Montreal.
Right.
You know, where I do see a world where it's like we're winning more than we should, but it's I don't think it'll be drastic enough. I still think we're a bottom 5 team by the end of the year.
But I still think we're picking like from like the 5 to 10 spot again.
Right.
Because I don't think we'll be that bad to
Yeah.
drop down again.
Yeah. All it'll take is one injury or one report to ever come out. But anyway, let's dive into some questions because we did get some good ones. We did get some nonsense ones too, and we'll see how I feel on whether or not we're going to read these. But we did get a string of them. I got them
Yep.
here, Hoagie. So
Okay, I have it
yeah.
up on my computer too, but if you want to go with it, go with it.
Yeah, no, I can read them. So we got a string of them from Sean O at Philly7M20 on X. That's Sean O on X. He's got a couple, he says. So how many points do you realistically think the Flyers will have this season? First of all, how many points did the Flyers have last season?
Oh, great question. I don't know what off the top of my head.
Oh, I thought you were going to have this.
I have the over under for the year.
Okay.
73.5 points.
Somebody didn't know what they had last year. Come on, buddy.
I'm failing on that one. 2023.
They had 75. So they had 75 points last year. Is this a worse team than last year? I mean, who's replacing Ivan Provorov? I mean, that's the biggest thing, right? Like this, to me, the defense. I mean, I think it's going to be around that 75 range again. Like, I think at most you're looking at like 78. This is not a team that I think is going to crack 80 points.
See, I think they'll hit 80, 82.
You're a little more optimistic than I am.
I know. I just I don't know why. I think they do, and we made a joke about it in the High and Wide group chat, and I was like, "Cool, 82 straight overtime losses. Here we come."
Right there, you go. I'm thinking like best 78, worst situation. It's still like in that 70.
Right.
You know, I don't think we're going to be going into the 60s.
I still think they hit the over. I think they're over 73.5 for the season.
Yeah,
that's
a safe bet. I think that's a safe bet. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. His next question: who do you think will be the scoring points leader?
See, this is a throw up too, but I'm gonna say Konechny for points.
I definitely think he's the safe answer.
Yeah.
You know, I think when you're looking at if you were just to say goals, I'm gonna go ahead and say Tippett.
Okay.
But I do think Konechny will most likely be points. I mean, who else could it be? It'd be great if it was Joel Farabee. If Joel Farabee could turn around.
Could you imagine?
I mean, that'd be fantastic. But it's just like there aren't many other options. Morgan Frost isn't there yet. Owen Tippett to me is going to be more of a goal scorer than like an overall point producer.
Right.
Sean Couturier, I'm not ready to do any of that with. Cam Atkinson, I'm not ready to do any of that with.
Yeah, I mean, I could see Atkinson being in the mix, but I don't think he's gonna come off firing hot
Right.
like a Konechny would coming off of personal best last year.
Right. Okay, moving on. Come trade deadline, who would you want to see go? Anybody. No, I mean, I'm sure you agree with me. Anybody on an expiring deal right now.
Which isn't many people, honestly.
Right, especially of value, right? You've got Mark Stahl, you've got
Yep.
like the Ryan Paling,
We have Ryan Paling, you have
Sean
Sean
Walker.
Walker, Mark Stahl, Nick Sealer. If someone wants to pick him up for cheap, I mean,
Right. I mean, he might have more appeal than
right.
some of the others. I mean, he
Yeah.
was good for us last year.
I mean, Zamula's on there, but I don't think he'll be of any interest to like a playoff team.
What
I
I'd
think
like to see, Hoagie, and I don't know if you agree with me here, is I'd like to see Cam Atkinson have a really good year, half a year, at least start off looking like he did before his injury and find a way to trade him.
Next summer, you mean?
Or the deadline.
Or the deadline?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in the same thoughts. I think he's a good leader for what we're going through, but I don't
Sure.
think he's going to want to stick around the rest of his 2 years here.
Right, and even if he does, like if you look at most of these players that we can trade at the deadline, you're not going to extract much value for them. But he is somebody that if he is playing back to close to what he was, you could get some value in return for him.
Right. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
he's only 34. He's still got some fire in the pot somehow. So
right.
Why not?
And then the last one from our friend Sean here is, who would you want the Flyers to try and trade for? Draft picks.
Future considerations.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't think that like any of the players where that like fits that young up and coming are really going to be on the market. At least at the trade deadline. And granted, the season hasn't even started yet, so I couldn't tell you much about the trade deadline. But I don't think unless it's like a young, promising player, you're looking for prospects and picks.
Yeah, I'm there. I'm along the same lines. There's no one out there that really like flashes for me to say, "Hey, go get him." Like,
right.
I think prospects and picks, and then as long as we're not doing reclamation projects, I'm really tired of those. I think we're starting to get our core built in the right way with what we have developed.
Right.
So the reclamation projects, I think, should be over at this point.
I agree with you. Unless it's like a really spicy name. Like it's like Capo Caco or like somebody where it's like you just can't help yourself.
Right. Shane Pinto doesn't pique your interest.
Not that ship sailed.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you to our friend Sean for all those questions. We do have a few other ones that I think we can get through pretty quickly. Graham, I'm sorry, Graham, or not Graham if I'm mispronouncing your name wrong, but Graham Seidel at Graham Seidel on X. If by some miracle the Flyers are near a wild card spot, which teams or team are they battling with to get in? So kind of like who are the fringe the fringe teams in the Eastern Conference?
Who's always there? The Penguins,
Washington.
Penguins and Washington, right?
Right. You would assume that if the Flyers are battling for a wild card spot, a team like the Islanders aren't. Columbus is another one.
Who from the Atlantic?
I mean, the Metro is so good.
Yeah, like, but the Atlantic is better too. So like,
it's still top heavy, isn't? I mean, you've got Toronto, Tampa.
The Bruins are kind of an iffy right there.
Right. The Panthers.
Yep.
There's Buffalo. You've got like Buffalo, Detroit, and Ottawa, where it's like at some point somebody's got to take the next step.
Yeah, I think Ottawa made the right moves this year to probably do it.
Yeah, I just think that like if the Flyers were somehow to be in a wild card, like contending for a wild card position, there is a team that we aren't expecting to have a bad year, having a bad year.
Right. I hope it's the Devils.
I don't know, Devils or Rangers. I'll take
Right.
either at this
Yeah,
point.
that would be awesome.
But I think you're right though, whether it's that Washington, Columbus. I think
Pittsburgh, right
Pittsburgh
there.
still could be a tier above them.
Well, wasn't Pittsburgh in the wild card last year?
Yeah,
Am I wrong?
and Washington missed the playoffs. Well, no,
Right.
Pittsburgh missed the playoffs. Remember, they missed. They
Oh,
had to
that's right. That was
yeah.
like Crosby's. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So,
All right.
all these years are starting to blend together.
My favorite topic, the captaincy. Mark Ramos says, when can we expect the Flyers to name Scott Lawton captain?
I wish yesterday, but it'll probably never happen this season.
Right. Well, so let's take this conversation and flip it a little bit. Like, if Scott Lawton was going to be the captain at any point, wouldn't it have happened already?
Oh, absolutely. I
Yeah,
think so. It would have happened at the end of the last season, right? You would think during the summer.
Right. To me, that ship sailed. I mean, I think that they view him as a leader for now, but I think that they want to save that captaincy for presumably Sean Couturier.
If he can prove that he's still here and can play for the long run, yeah, absolutely.
Right. I mean, but I think that was the hesitancy from making Scott Lawton the captain, was because I think that they wanted to give Sean Couturier the chance if he was healthy. He's earned it.
Honestly, they both have earned it.
Right.
They've been here through the thick and thin. Like, I think I've read Couturier and Lawton might be wearing A's this season.
Okay.
At least that's what CapFriend has. And according to the pictures that the Flyers have posted, Lawton has that A on his jersey again. So
right. Okay.
I think it's still huge to have in the locker room.
Sure. And I mean, I'll be honest, I don't care if the Flyers name a captain anytime soon. It really doesn't faze me at all.
Did you see the Rangers name 5 assistant captains?
Were they a junior hockey team?
Dude, 1 captain and 5 assistants. I was like, why?
You get an A, and you get an A, and you get an A.
Right.
Last question. I mean, just because it's a loyal listener and a friend of the show, Sam Wismer? I don't know. Anyway, friend of the show. She asks, how many games is Hoagie going to miss this season?
I hate this question. Probably a bunch, honestly.
What does it all mean? Are you planning on? I mean, were you planning on going to a lot of games, or just like on TV, or?
I don't know. It's very open ended.
Right. Does she mean the Flyers games, or just games in general? Is there like a dodgeball game down the street?
It's true. How many men's league games am I going to miss?
Right.
Which is 0. Oh, I've missed 1, but I'm still the leading goal scorer, so not a big deal.
Not a big deal. What position do you play?
Right wing.
There you go.
We
don't need any right wingers. We need left wingers. Sorry, buddy.
Right. They learned. I played defense in the summer, and I was like, screw you guys.
It's like freaking Eric Carlson back there, 70 points. All right. I mean, this was a bit of a wonky show.
Yeah.
Everybody's getting interrupted.
It had everything.
Yep, it did. But hockey is finally back. We will actually have games to talk about the next time. I believe 3 games. The Flyers play Thursday night, Saturday afternoon. I don't know. I'm not incredibly prepared for this. Am I?
I don't have my schedule printed out.
It does not. Yeah, so they will play Thursday against Columbus and then Saturday against Ottawa, and then we'll talk again on Tuesday.
Perfect. Oh, we have 2 former Flyers first right off the bats.
Yep.
Actually, 3. Isn't somebody else on Ottawa?
On what? On who?
Ottawa. On Ottawa. Patrick Brown.
Oh,
Patrick Brown.
Yes. Yep. I forget about Patrick Brown.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Well, all right. Maybe we can title the show after him. Yeah. All right. Hoagie, is there anything you want to say before we leave, buddy?
No.
Good.
Hoags.
Yeah, I'm like one of the few people that still have X.
Yeah,
It's all right. You keep holding strong, buddy.
I'm
You
trying.
can find this show on all your various podcast listening receptacles. If you want to leave us a review, please do. We would love to get a 5-star review, even though we don't deserve it. Shout out to Derek, who was here with us and then ghosted because I guess little Ruby needed some tender loving. So yeah, he's doing the father thing. And shout out to Matt Casey, who is eating edibles with elephants. And on that note,
but he's also hanging out with Tyson Forster and Bobby Brink. So
oh, but you're not supposed to say that they're eating edibles with elephants.
huh.
Anyway, bye now.
They're not.